So yesterday, the Jets and Giants rivalry turned up a notch when Brandon Marshall and Cullen Jenkins almost got into an altercation before halftime. Marshall says Jenkins dissed his wife, calling her his girl and implying he may have multiple women as opposed to being married. Marshall had to be restrained from Jenkins, from going after him. Here's what he said about the incident.
I believe in trash talk, and some guys get up for that, but some things are off limits. And he made a comment about, he said my girl, he didn't know I was married, and I don't care. There's not enough money on this earth for someone to disrespect my wife, and you know, I just try to take it out on in between the lines. Love my wife, Mishi Marshall, and I will fight to the end for her. So there you go, baby. He's 500 pounds, and I went after him for you. Zink. No, but he's a good sport, man. I appreciate that he apologized. He didn't know.
Family and money, don't talk about those two things, right, Stephen A? Did Jenkins cross the line, though?
I don't think so. What I would say is, number one, it seems like Brandon Marshall was trying to get in good with the wife, which there is no knock there whatsoever. That's
I can't blame him.
That's wise on his part, okay?
Happy wife, happy life.
But having said all of that, I was at a loss as to what was said that was so offensive. Was it the comment that he said your girl because he didn't know you were married?
Well, I'm sure there's more to that.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just going by what he said. Yeah. I mean, it didn't really make sense to me because if he didn't know you were married and he said your girl, well, what did he say about your girl?
What's the difference in the girl or the wife?
I don't know.
Some information in this dialogue.
I will say this to you. You can cross the line. You know, all of this stuff, trash talking is trash talking. But there are places that you can go that you have no business going. You ain't gonna find it in the rule book. It ain't written down, but there are man codes that come along with it. There are certain things you know you need not say. It could be about somebody's wife or it could be about somebody's mother. There are lines that you don't cross. And when you cross those lines, it opens itself to anything, particularly when you're dealing with the wrong person. Now, all I could do is go back to my personal experiences covering cats in the NBA. I'm not going to mention their names, but I know guys that played in the NBA that I actually admired the way that they handled it. When somebody crossed the line and they said something or did something that was disrespectful and everyone knew was crossing the line, they would sit up there and be like this, I'm going to see you. I ain't going to do it on the court where I'm going to get fined. I'm going to catch you after the game or I'm going to catch you after the season. I remember one time when one particular player literally was petrified and walked around the league begging dudes. I'll even tell you who he was begging dudes about. It was about Derek Coleman. I won't embarrass the dude that was petrified, but DC, my man Derek Coleman, knows exactly who I'm talking about. You had a dude that was literally walking around league-wide begging people to help him to prevent Derek Coleman from whipping his butt because he was disrespectful and that crossed the line, and he thought that he was going to get away with it because he was on the court. And if you're on the court, teammates are going to come to your defense and stuff like that. Derek Coleman knew that, so he was always about, I'll see you after. Charles Oakley was all about, I'll see you after. And that was the thing. The only person that I ever saw win at D.C. during a game was Corliss Williamson, and he tried to sucker punch him. I was courtside in Sacramento back in the early 2000s when this happened. And even though I like Big Nasty Corliss Williamson, he regretted that severely because Derek Coleman dealt with him there.
I'd give him a shot against Derek off the court.
Corliss Williamson?
I would.
Well, what I would say to you is good luck with that.
Okay.
Some people, I'm
that.
just telling you something right now. There's certain people that you don't mess with.
I know.
DC was one of them. Charles Oakley was another. There's a reason why Michael Jordan loves that brother. Let me tell you something. There's certain dudes that you don't mess with. All I'm saying is there are lines. There are unwritten rules. You ain't going to find in the rule book.
I got it.
You don't cross certain things. And if you cross that with Brandon Marshall, that's a problem.
And as you well know, Carmelo was waiting at the bus for KG. Remember that?
Yes.
All right, just for the record.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now, I get you about the code, but this is just my code, and from all my years of covering, to me, when it comes to trash talk, nothing is out of bounds to me. That all is fair in love and football, or love in pro basketball, or love in pro baseball, or hockey.
Or war.
It's just what it is. And look, it's the old silly expression about sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. That's what you have to adopt here, because to me, you either ignore it or you laugh at it, as ugly and personal as it might get, or you channel your anger into your performance. But in this case, if you do let it get to you the way Brandon let it get to him, and again, they did obviously pull off the win in overtime, but if you lose your cool and your composure, you have lost, because that is the goal of most of this trash talk. So this is just me, and I've heard my fair share of things off the court. You just go on because you can't win it, to me. That's just me. You can't win it, and so you're going to get even. How are you going to get even? I don't know. I just let it go. I laugh it off.
I'm going to give you cover here.
All right.
What I mean by saying that is that you're saying the way it should be. I'm talking about the way it is. So you're right when you say this is the way it should be. Mm-hmm. I am telling you that that ain't necessarily the way it is. With certain people, you cross a line, ain't no coming back from that.
Agreed.
And you can't do that, and especially when it's certain codes that are violated. Now, I'm not getting into KG and Melo. That's their business. But what I would remind you, since you brought it up, keep in mind that the police, NYPD, combined with Madison Square Garden security, along with Mike Woodson and coaches, had to come collectively to get Carmelo away from the bus where he was waiting. That's how serious that was. Now, there were people league-wide, hanger-ons, friends, managers, and all this stuff. You know what they all said? Man, we didn't blame them. You got to handle that. There's certain things that cannot fly. Now,
do you think it ever got handled?
Well, it got handled, but legitimate.
Do they have any relationship left?
No, but it's nothing. I mean, it was, without getting into it, the fact of the matter is a misunderstanding and all of that stuff. That's all it was. But what I'm trying to say to you is that's entirely different than somebody saying, yeah, I disrespected you, so what? What you going to do about it? Now, I'm not trying to sit there, and I don't want to give this impression that it's the NBA, but it's not the NFL. It's baseball, it's basketball, it's football, it's hockey. No matter, to a lesser degree, it's hockey when they allowed you to fight on the ice. You see, so you could handle it then. Mm-hmm. But without the fighting, then you're going to handle it off the rail. I'm just saying to you, when you sit there and say all is fair, I'm saying to you, you're talking about the way it should be. I'm telling you the way it is. You cannot do certain things. We'll sit up here on a radio, on a television show, and we're debating right here on First Take. If you notice, there's certain lines that I never cross, because I don't want to just be right. I want to be righteous. I want people to understand that there's a line I would never cross, because I understand that there's certain man rules that if you violate, you got a right to roll up on me and say, that's a problem. We're going to handle this.
We're on live national TV. This is like man-to-man on the field.
What I'm saying to you is that we're on live national TV, and even I understand, sitting in here where it's my job to call it like I see it, that there's certain lines that you don't cross, because as a man, you have to understand it. So if I understand that you're playing in between the lines, it is expected that you understand it. And if you don't understand it, they will make you understand it. And that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All right?
Well, leave it there.
Trust me on this.
All right.
Once thought to be the one-away favorite to win the AFC, the Patriots are now struggling after 2 straight losses, but are they still the favorites to reach Super Bowl 50? Find out next.